Hi, my name is Vicki Morell. I'm the Accounting Partner Director here at Source Advisors. Source Advisors has been around for nearly as long as the R&D tax credit scheme itself, and we continue to provide support and assistance for accountants and their clients. Welcome to At Source, our series where we talk about all things R&D tax. Today I'm joined by Samantha Reading, our Operations Director at Source Advisors. So we'll be talking about the administrative requirements of R&D tax credit claims. As I'm sure many of you are aware, there have been changes within the administrative requirements of R&D tax. So Samantha and I will be chatting through some of those changes and the implications they may have for you and your clients. So Samantha, what are the first things a company should consider before making an R&D tax credit claim?
So first thing that I think that a company would need to do would to check that they meet the basic scheme requirements. So that would include being a corporate entity with a trade chargeable to UK corporation tax. And they also must be a going concern at the time that the claim is made. Another thing to consider would be the R&D scheme itself and making sure they understand what the requirements are of that scheme. So considering the BEIS guidelines and the eligibility criteria. Another thing to think about will be the ability of the company to be able to provide technical information from a competent professional and also any financial evidence required to be able to support the claim as well. Another thing we now need to consider is the requirement to pre-notify HMRC of the intention to make a claim through a claim notification form. And the final thing to consider would probably be to engage with an R&D advisor to help with navigating through the various aspects of the scheme and the legislation itself. So they would be the things I think.
So we've known for quite a long time that best practice has been to produce a technical report and a financial report, financial summary, to go along with the R&D tax credit claim. So in your opinion, how detailed does a technical report need to be?
So the aim of the technical report is to provide HMRC with everything that they need to be able to make sure that the R&D eligibility criteria has been met. So there's no kind of fixed length for how long a technical report should or shouldn't be. It will depend on the size of the claim, the scope of the project, the length of the project. The technical report gives you the opportunity over and above that of the additional information form to provide further information to make sure that the claim has been substantiated and is compliant. So you can include within the technical report any information regarding the competent professional, their credentials, their experience that's relevant to the R&D. So just the opportunity to add some more weight there. The only thing that is specified in terms of what has to be included in the technical report is the number of projects that need to be written up. So if a company has got 1 to 3 eligible projects, then all of those should be written up in detail and in full. If they have got 4 to 10 eligible projects, then 3 or more should be selected that together account for at least 50% of the qualifying expenditure. The technical report also then will give you the opportunity to add, like I said, more than what the additional information form would. So you can also include in there visual aids that won't go into the additional information form, but can be referred to by the caseworker or whoever's reading the report to illustrate any key concepts and processes.
That makes absolute perfect sense. So just linking that to the financial summary that we mentioned, the 2 documents, the financial summary and the technical report. Financial summary is a summary of the costs, as you'd expect. So all the costs that make up the R&D tax credit claim. How much evidence do you need to be able to substantiate those costs? So are sort of sample invoices acceptable? Can it be any guesstimates, or what level of accuracy is probably not the right word, but what level of substantiation is required?
Yeah, sure. So HMRC have given guidelines in the GFC3 as to what is expected to be included within the supporting costs in a financial report and in the additional information form as well. So the aim of the financial report is to show that care has been taken to only include costs that are qualifying and exclude any that are non-qualifying. So it's making that distinction and showing that care has been taken. So in terms of actual evidence that would be required, so the sort of things that you would need to be able to provide would be for payroll, you would need to provide payroll records for staff costs that have been involved in the R&D. So including breakdowns of pension, national insurance, bonuses, any timesheets or time tracking to support with the time allocations as well is also very useful to have. For consumables, and software as well, any invoices and any usage indicators would be required. For third-party costs, you're thinking about needing to be able to provide invoices, contracts, and proof of payment. Another aspect of the evidence that you need to provide would be contracts in relation to the R&D to show who intended the R&D to take place and who is taking on the financial risk. And the final thing would be in terms of your accounts to show where within the accounts the costs have been included.
You mentioned a short while ago the introduction of both the additional information form and the claim notification form. They've been around a while now, but they have been brought in over the last couple of years by HMRC. Can you just give us an overview of what they are and also maybe why HMRC introduced them?
So HMRC introduced them as mandatory compliance measures. So the claim notification form is the more recent of the two, so the CNF. So that will impact all first-time claimants or anybody that hasn't claimed within the last 3 years. So what the intention of it is to pre-notify HMRC that you will be making an R&D claim, and that needs to be done within a deadline of 6 months after your accounting period end. The form itself is required to let HMRC know that the claim is being made, and if you don't make that submission in time, then any R&D that's included on your corporation tax return will be invalid. The additional information form has been around a little bit longer now, but to kind of summarise, the aim is to clarify what is being claimed for and justify why it is qualifying. So each accounting period requires its own AIF, and each company within a group structure also requires its own AIF as well. The additional information form needs to be submitted first before you submit your CT600. And again, similar to the CNF, if you don't submit it before the CT600 or at all, then your claim will be rejected.
From conversations that we have with accountants, I think that the additional information form is well understood. I think it's something that people understand now is just part of due process. You have to make sure that's submitted before the CT600. But we do know that I think accountants have found the claim notification form a little bit more confusing. So without having to go into raft of detail, can you just give me an overview of the claim notification form and how to assess whether a company is required to notify HMRC of their intention to claim?
Sure. So trying to keep it as simple as possible. So the first step is to identify the claim notification window. So that's the starting point. So that's to work out the relevant 3-year window. So you take the last day of your accounting period and add 6 months to give you the deadline. And then you count back 3 years. So it's accounting period plus 6 months minus 3 years. So that's the first step, is to work out that claim notification window. The second step is to work out whether the 3-year exemption applies. So this is where the original and the amended tax returns come into play. So if you have submitted your last claim or the claim in the last 3 years on an original corporation tax return, then you'll be exempt from needing to submit a claim notification form. If, however, that your last claim was submitted on an amended corporation tax return and it was still within those 3 years, you'll need to submit a claim notification form, unless the amendment was done on or before the 1st of April 2023. For lengthened periods, although you've got 2 corporation tax returns, only 1 pre-notification form is required. Obviously, there's some complexities there. There's different levels of information that you need to be able to get to confidently do an assessment. If you're unable to do that assessment confidently based on all the different requirements that we've gone through, then we would recommend you kind of err on the side of caution and complete a claim notification form to make sure that you don't lose that claim entirely.
Yes, certainly not straightforward though, is it?
No.
Obviously, in your role as operation director, as well as obviously overseeing the delivery of all the claims that we support, you obviously see a number of claims that we're asked to review by accountants, by other third parties. So from an administrative point of view, what is the most common mistake that you see in R&D claims on the admin side?
Sure. So I think with the financial report, what we'll see is omission of eligible staff. So not including everybody that's relevant and roles that have contributed to the R&D. So whether that's directly or indirectly. So we'll see claims that haven't looked at the full scope of everyone's involvement in the R&D. I think from a technical report perspective, what we'll see is potentially too much focus on the commercial narrative and not enough focus on the key points that you need to discuss within a technical report and an additional information form. Another area would be the technical report being more relevant for the advancement of their own capabilities as a company rather than for the field as a whole. And I think the final thing that we probably would say is the technical reports that we see sometimes don't have enough depth and substance to justify the level of claim that's being made.
Now we're in the new merged scheme. It's not new anymore, but now we're in the merged scheme. I think one of the aims or the intentions of the scheme as a whole was to make it simpler. From an admin point of view, do you think the new merged scheme brings complexity, or do you think it has delivered simplification?
So I think there's two sides to that. So I think the change is welcome. It's something that we called for. It's something that we agree with has happened. And obviously the aim of it being to simplify and streamline the processes. Although we are still left with two schemes. We've got the merged scheme and errors. I think from the admin side of stuff, in terms of the mandatory compliance measures, we know where we are now. Everybody is clear. There was obviously, like I said, there's been headaches and there's been changes in terms of the rules, but the requirements are clear in terms of the mandatory compliance measures now. I think where the admin burden is now more focused is in relation to contracts. So it's never been more important to assess who the eligible party is for the claim, who intended the R&D to take place, who's taken on the financial risk. So completing contract reviews in real time and considering the wider circumstances is crucial now. But that is a heavy burden in terms of admin. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we are. There's a bit of both sides to it, I think.
Thanks, Samantha. That was really useful. Hopefully everybody watching found that really informative and some great content to help you with the admin side of your R&D tax credit claims. As mentioned at the start, this is a series of podcasts that we're doing, so please do watch the others where hopefully you will also find some really useful information. Thank you for watching.